Good morning, everyone. The Hebrew word for a sin is an aveira. The word aveira literally means a transgression. You transgress. However, what are the first three letters of the word aveira? Avar. Avar means past. So another meaning of sin, aveira, is past tense. It passed already. Avara, it already passed. Why is that the name for a sin? Because we're taught that a person should not see themselves as a sinner, but rather they should do teshuvah and let that remain in the past. Don't get stuck in the past. Don't feel that you are defined by the mistakes you've made in the past. We've all made mistakes. But instead of living with those past mistakes, we're given the gift of teshuvah, that we could ask for forgiveness, whether it's between man and man or man and God, and we can change and we can see ourselves as new people. Therefore, there's a law that says once someone does teshuvah, you're never allowed to remind them of their past sins. So if someone offended you, hurt you, and they asked you for forgiveness and you forgave them, you're never allowed to bring up their past sins. Or if somebody committed some other sin, once they changed and they did teshuvah, they're a new person. And the past has to remain in the past, and you're never allowed to mention what happened in the past. This lesson is illustrated in the most remarkable way in this week's Torah portion. There's approximately 139 verses in this week's Torah portion. We all know that on Shabbat we divide the Torah reading into 7 aliyot. So if you divide 7 into 140, each aliyah should be approximately 20 verses. But what do we find this week? The first aliyah is about 45 verses long. The second one is 46 verses. So you have over 90 verses in the first two aliyot, which is more than 50% of 60% of the parsha. And then the last 5 aliyot are very short. Why this disproportionate length of the first two aliyot? And the remarkable answer is that in the second aliyah of this week's Torah portion, we read about the Chet HaEgel, the sin of the golden calf. And we know that there's one tribe that didn't participate. We're going to read it this Shabbos, the Shevet Levi. So therefore, we want to lengthen the first two aliyot, so that the person who's called for the honor of the sin of the golden calf should be from the tribe of Levi. Because if we call an Israelite, he's going to get embarrassed. This is what my grandfather did. So we don't want to remind him of what his grandparents did. So we deliberately prolonged the first two aliyot. So a Levi stands there, he has nothing to be embarrassed of. Now imagine, it's mind-boggling. 3,300 years later, we don't want to embarrass someone whose great-great-grandfather committed a sin 3,000 years ago. How much more so when someone did something yesterday or last week to rub it in their face and remind them what they did and hurt their feelings. What the Torah is saying is you have to let the past stay in the past. Give people a chance to change, to redeem themselves. In our society, people talk about Jewish guilt. Where Jews are known for doing a good job when it comes to guilt, right? Jewish mothers are especially known for Jewish guilt. But the truth is, guilt means, okay, you did something wrong, now become better. Once you become better, you're not guilty anymore. As opposed to what our society does. In our society, when someone does something wrong, we shame them. We put their picture in the newspaper, we talk about them on the media and the gossip columnists, right? Shame is something, now you're stigmatized. You have to walk around as a half a human being for the rest of your life. Wherever you go in life, oh, you're the guy who did this or that. We say, don't speak lashon hara, don't shame a person. Guilt, yeah, change your ways, take responsibility, but no shaming another person. And once a person changes the way, you have to let them go. And that's perhaps why this week's parsha is about the half shekel. Because the half shekel is each Jew gives a half shekel. The message is you're incomplete without another human being. And one of the ideas of being together with your fellow man is if you're always going to remember every fault or every hurt or every past misdeed that anyone ever did to you, you won't have any other friends. That's why it says in Pirkei Avot, make for yourself a teacher, acquire a friend, and then it says judge every person favorably. Because if you're going to remember every bad thing everyone ever did to you, you'll have no friends in life. You have to know how to let go. You have to know how to forgive. And once you forgive, not just forgiven and forgotten. In other words, not just I forgive, but I'll remember. You have to literally let go of it and not bring it up again so you could have friendships, because no human being is perfect. No human being will not make mistakes. The question is if you could let the past, the avar, the aveira, remain in the past. It's a beautiful story told by Henoch Teller. And the story is that there was a Jew who came to Yerushalayim to learn about Torah. And he was a Baal Teshuvah, he was becoming religious. And he was learning in a yeshiva. and it was before Yom Kippur, and the rabbis there told him there's a custom that everyone, all men, go to the mikveh Erev Yom Kippur. This Jew had one little problem. He had a very sordid past, and he had lots of tattoos on his body, some of them indecent ones of women and things like that. And he said, how am I going to go to a mikveh in a public bathhouse with men? And they're going to see in Jerusalem, all these rabbis, you know. But the rabbis in the yeshiva said, you got to go. So he went. He found his biggest towel. He discreetly in a corner got undressed, wrapped a towel from his neck down to his toes, like 3 towels. And he figured, I'll get to the mikveh, I'll go in and out, nobody will see me. As he's going, it was a crowded mikveh of Yom Kippur. Somebody bumped into him, his towels fell. And suddenly hundreds of eyes in the mikveh are staring at him, because all these religious people in Yerushalayim with payas and beards and everything, and this guy has all these bicep tattoos of all sorts of things going on, and he starts turning red. All of a sudden, an old Jew with a white beard comes over to him, says, don't feel bad. I also have a tattoo. And he lifts up his arm and he shows him his number from the Holocaust, from the concentration camp. He said, you had your past, I had my past. We've both been through hell and back. But now it's Yom Kippur, it's a new beginning. Let's forget about the past, let's start all over tonight. That's the message of Avar, of leaving that which happened in the past. And when we see the Levi standing there, the Shabbos, we should remember, never remind the person, never make a person feel bad for something that they have left in the past and they're trying to grow and change. Don't dig up the past. As they say, don't live life looking in the rearview mirror.